Hi, this is Tomica Lindsey with the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Queen City Metropolitan Chapter Public Policy Committee. I am so excited to be with you once again. We have had an amazing series of why we vote, talking about anything from the executive branch, legislative branch, judicial branch, talking about who makes up the North Carolina General Assembly, talking about ways to stay informed, really the history of voting and Black history. We talked about so much during this series, and I'm excited to bring in some other voices who will also share their why for voting. Our Public Policy Committee members will be joining us to talk about what's their reason why it's so important to stay connected and stay informed and to be an informed voter. For me, my why is truly just what I mentioned, to make sure that we are participating in this God-given right, to make sure that our voices are heard, to make sure that we are influencing policy, that we are advocating on behalf of Black women and girls throughout this wonderful community in North Carolina, and to make sure that we are standing up for ourselves. That is my why. Why is it so important to stay informed? Is because my vote is my voice, and any change that comes about will be because I participated, because I showed up, because I voted in the people who will represent me. And in those cases where they are not representing me, then I am voting people in to take their place. So I want to encourage you all, share what your why is, make a plan to vote. We have time that is coming upon us to participate in a new election. And now let's hear from our Public Policy Committee members on their why. See you next time, and thanks so much for tuning in.
Hello, welcome, and thank you, Tomica, for giving us that wonderful introduction. Right now, I want to bring on our public policy members, committee members that are going to chat and talk with us about what is your why. So let's welcome Miss Melanie Baker and Miss Deirdra Reed. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
It's good to see you today. It's good to see you today. So we're going to jump right in with our first question, and that is, what is your why? So Melanie, will you start out with us for the first question?
Well, when I think of voting, I have several reasons why I vote. The number one reason is I feel that every one of our votes does matter. I feel like it's a chance for you to stand up for the issues that you care about, such as affordable housing, economic justice, and quality education, specifically in African American communities for me. I also feel that it is an opportunity for change. If you don't vote, then you can't make a change. You can't make a difference using that platform. So I do feel like if you don't go out, cast your vote from a local level all the way to the state level to your presidential elections, that nothing will change if you sit by without saying anything. And the last reason is I feel that it is your right. There was a time where someone who looked like me did not have an opportunity to vote. And now that I have that opportunity, it's my right. Since I was 18 years old, I feel like I need to exercise that every opportunity that I can.
Thank you for that. Deirdra, what is your why?
So first, I want to just say kudos to my beautiful sister, Melanie. I agree with everything that you said, Melanie. I feel like there is a way in which sometimes we romanticize voting and what voting will do, but it is really about our, and for me, myself as well, it's about our self-interest and our community interest. The sun going up and down every day, we will not be able to change. But everything other than that is a public policy. Everything is a policy, and that policy is written by a person, and we should be, consulting with, voting for and or against, the people who are making the decisions that impact our everyday life. Mm-hmm. Now, for me as well, like I come from a family, even though we're in Charlotte, North Carolina, I come from a family that migrated from, Tupelo, Mississippi, all the way through Chicago up to Waterloo, Iowa, where I was born. And my grandmother and all of her 12 brothers and sisters were very clear about what the segregated South and Jim Crow South looked like and what they were trying to escape when they went north. And a part of that is around this idea of citizenship. And in this country, citizenship has always been defined by three things. One, your ability to read, your ability to be literate, to be educated. Mm-hmm. Two, your ability to buy property, which means that you have some kind of economic mobility, or you have the ability to make a living. And three, your ability to vote. And though that trifecta of things is really what it means to be a citizen in this country. And when I think about the naysayers or the folks who are trying to take away other folks' right to vote or people's citizenship, when they start talking about citizenship, they're really leaning into, one of those three things: literacy, your ability to buy property or to, access capital, or three, your ability to vote. And so my why is really rooted in trying to ensure that systemic racism and systemic oppression through a caste system is upended. And the way that we do that is to exercise our right to vote.
Awesome response. Mm-hmm. Okay, ladies, let's tackle the next question. And that is, why is it so important for voters to stay engaged and informed in state, local, and national elections? So Deirdra, can you jump right in on that one?
For sure, because and what I want to say to our lovely host and to my great sisters, especially as it relates to Black women. Black women are beautiful, we're powerful, we're strong. We know how to make $1 out of 15 cents. I don't know how we do it sometimes. Our babies clean and looking good, hair done, beads on the end, bows, and all kinds of things. And we do those things even when we have been oppressed, even when, the laws don't always help or to support our ability to not just survive in this country, but to thrive. And the misnomer, or the thing that we always say to people, is vote. Voting is the first step. That is the first step. If you really want to see change, you have to be engaged at every level of decision making. And so when I think about what's happening, from the school board is going to say whether or not your kid has to wear a uniform or not. The school board is going to pick the curriculum for your kid. The school board is going to say what is the discipline policies for your kid, and for your children, your young people. And so we got to be engaged with the school board. We've got to be engaged at the state level, because all of the money and the things that trickle down from the national or the federal level lands on your governor's desk and at your state legislature. And so us being able to say, yes, as Black women, we only make 67 cents on the dollar for every, for our white counterparts, right? Like, if we have the same job, they make $1, we make 67 cents. And then we're told on the back end of that by decision makers and policy makers that you better do good by that 67 cents. And I'm like, where's the policy that says run me my 30 something cents? Where is and the way that we get to that is to continually be engaged. And what I'm excited about, because the National Coalition for 100 Black Women, we just had our advocacy day at the North Carolina State legislature. And what was super interesting as we walked those halls was how many of the decision makers there, on the representatives and the state senators, that said, we need to see you more. We need to hear your perspective. For us to vote someone in and then think that they know everything about us and what we're going through and what we need, it is that's on us. We need not to do that. They're going to represent us. They are not, we're not in a monarchy, we're in a democracy. And so because of that, we can't just vote people in and then think that they're going to do the right thing. We need to vote them in and see them as our employees, and then go and have some talks with our employees about what we want them to do while we're at our regular job. So to me, that engagement beyond the first vote puts us in a position with our legislators and decision makers that they understand what we need them to do when it comes to the issues that we care about and how we expect them to vote.
So my response is exactly,
Yes.
Deirdra. All right, Melanie, what
Yeah.
is your response to that?
So I can piggyback off what she said, but she pretty much covered everything that I would think to say. But I think engagement is really what holds our political leaders and our senators, governors, it holds them accountable. If you're so engaged, they are forced to do their job. And when they're forced to do their job, that's where change comes in. I was reading a statistic, and I think it was for Wisconsin. They said something like 1 out of every 9 African Americans is disenfranchised versus 1 out of 50 of everybody else in the state. And when you think about the numbers of Black people in Wisconsin, it's not that many. So the fact that large of a number of them are disenfranchised because they're not being engaged with is a problem. So there are things that are going on that they have no say in at all. And I also feel like when you start engaging, for instance, like us as Black women, when we went to the State House, there are some people that on a day-to-day basis that we would probably never run into, never talk to. But I do feel like when you engage with other people on similar issues, you stand a better chance of getting the laws, getting the change, getting the things that you want done because you have a common ground. And me as a Black woman, I can engage with a Latino woman or a white woman about maternal health. Those are things that, irrespective of our race, are things that we have in common. Now, as a Black woman, I know that my struggle is a little bit harder, but I understand that as a group, we're stronger together. And then when we do get to the state level, like we did last week, I think we ran into a group of nurses and they were talking about how maternal health in the African American women, like they were excited just to see us and to know that they're fighting for something, even though they don't even see that demographic, makes me feel good that someone is actually advocating. They're out there engaging the public. And I also feel like, in general, you do need to start locally. School boards, I'm a former teacher. I watched school board meetings. I went to school board meetings. And whenever parents would complain, I would say, how involved are you? Are you on your school leadership team? Are you ahead of any club? Do you come and volunteer? And that engagement, once they're engaged at the local level, then they start looking at, well, what's going on at the state? If the school is shackled here, then what's going on above them? And so they really then at that point start to look at state laws, federal laws, and the engagement comes. So I personally feel that building relationships is the key to engagement and to also holding our leaders accountable.
Absolutely. And Melanie, what I want to say about what you just said, what it reminded me of was this idea. Like, I think that I'm not sure if folks know that your voting record is public record because
Yes.
This is all public work. Being a voter invites you to the public square. Like before you had the internet, before you have, when it was just a horse and a buggy, you would come to the public square. When we were in Africa, you would come to the middle of the village and you would discuss publicly what was going on. And so in the United States, in this democracy, our voting records are public. So you go on the elections, website, you could see who I am, you could see whether or not I'm a registered voter or not, and then you can see what elections I have voted in.
Yes.
And that sounds, super scary, like, ooh, the, big brother is watching you, right? But on the other side of it, so are candidates and so are other folks. And so I've been a consistent voter, just like you, Melanie, since I had the ability to vote. I vote for everything. I vote for dog catcher. I vote for school board, vote all the way up to the presidential election. And what that has done for me is that I am listed as a frequent voter. So when folks start looking to run for an office, I'm going to get the flyer that says they believe in what I believe in or they don't. That's how that happens. And so I just wanted to see that as a, not as a cautionary tale, but just as an inspiration and motivation when folks say, like, your vote doesn't matter. It's like, oh, yeah, your consistent vote matters even more.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Yep.
Awesome information that was shared. That is truth there. That is what is real. That is what is needed for why we vote. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for this information, for this chat today. I know that your listeners are going to be well informed. I know that they are going to get something out of this conversation, this chat that hasn't been discussed, it hasn't been brought to the forefront. Love different perspectives, and it's so needed to inform our community. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking. Let's let the people know how they can contact QCMC. For more information, they can go to the website at www.ncbw-qcmc.org for information. And we just want to thank everyone for joining us for this campaign, Public Policy Takeover, that we've had this last month. And we want them to come and join and ask questions and to participate and to let us know their why. They have a voice and it's important. So I just want to thank you again. Let me just open the door. Is there anything else that you all want to say or any information that you want to leave with your listeners before we go?
Yes. So our Public Policy Committee is planning a symposium for May the 21st at 2 p.m. It's going to be virtual. That information will be on this website that you're showing. But we invite all, especially Black women, because we support and advocate for equity for Black women and girls, to join us on May the 21st to tell us about their why, and also to tell us about, any of the issues that they are being impacted with that they feel like specifically as a Black woman is keeping them from actually thriving. Like, we don't want to just survive. We want to make sure that Black women in Charlotte and girls are thriving. And so please join us for the real takeover when we ask to speak to you about the issues that are impacting you.
Yep. And just my take as well is, if you have public policy issues or concerns that you want us to address that are directly related to Black women and girls, you can reach out to us. You can reach out to us through our social media, through our public policy email address. It's publicpolicy@qcmc.org, ncbw.org. And we would love to get your feedback so that we can know what programming and what issues we need to push for as we go into the next election cycle, because we are in that time, and you don't want to vote at the last minute just because you have to. You want to know in advance what you're voting for, who you're voting for, and why you're voting.
Exactly. Thank you so much, ladies, for that information. Thank you for this dialogue. It is definitely helping our community stay informed. And with that said, we are going to sign off, and we hope to see everyone soon. Take care, stay informed, know the issues and the candidates. Voting in every election is key. Yeah. All right. You all have a great evening.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.